She drove it home on a Friday. Her parents had spent 3 weekends looking. They felt good about it. The car was clean. The dealer was friendly. The price was fair. At least, that's what the sticker said. By the following Tuesday, the transmission was slipping. By the end of the month, they were looking at a repair bill that was nearly half of what they had paid for the car. What happened? Nothing dramatic. No outright lie they could point to in a courtroom. Just a system that works perfectly for the person on the other side of the transaction. A system that has been running for decades, tuned and optimized specifically for the moment when an excited family walks onto a lot with a teenager. That family is the ideal buyer. They are emotional, they are time-pressured, the kid has a preference, the parents have a budget, and between those two forces, the dealer has everything he needs. I spent 15 years on the other side of that desk, dealer lots, wholesale auctions, finance offices. I have watched this exact scenario play out more times than I can count. I know what the salesman is reading when that family walks through the door. I know which cars are sitting in the back row and why. I know what recently serviced actually means and what it doesn't. I left because I got tired of knowing. What I'm about to show you are 5 checks. Specific, concrete. Most of them take less than 10 minutes and cost less than you will spend on lunch. Together, they cover the 5 most common ways a first car purchase turns into a financial disaster. Do all 5 before you sign anything. Every single one. Here is the thing about the used car market that most people never see clearly. It is not a market where a dealer buys a car for $10,000 and sells it for $11,000. The margins are wider than that, much wider. The United States used car market generates nearly $200 billion a year, and it is built on a single, foundational advantage. The person selling the car knows everything about it. The person buying it knows almost nothing. That gap is not an accident. It is the product. When a car goes through a wholesale auction, it has a history. Codes pulled from the computer, panel readings, run and drive reports. The professional buyers in that room, the dealers, the fleet managers, the independent resellers, they all have access to that information. They bid accordingly. They know exactly what they are buying. You walk onto the retail lot 3 weeks later. The car has been detailed. The check engine light is off. The tyres look acceptable. The salesman is relaxed and friendly and has done this 10,000 times. You have done it maybe twice. NHTSA estimates that more than 450,000 vehicles are sold every year in this country with rolled-back odometers. Not nationwide, per year, every year. That is not a rogue operation. That is a line item. And it is not just mileage. In 2024, following Hurricanes Helene and Milton, Carfax estimated that up to 347,000 vehicles were flood damaged. Data analysts who track title transfers warned immediately. Those cars were going to be cleaned, transported across state lines, and re-entered into the retail market before the flood brands could catch up with them. Before the 2024 storms, there were already 454,000 water-damaged vehicles operating on American roads. Water-damaged. Operating. Being driven by people who have no idea. Here is the part that breaks most people's assumptions. This does not only happen at corner lots with hand-painted signs. Brand new cars, still on franchise dealership lots in Florida, were submerged during those storms, declared total losses, and later showed up for sale at full retail prices in states 1,000 miles away. Buyers discovered the problem when catastrophic electrical failures began. Weeks later, after the manufacturer had voided the warranty entirely. Not a backyard operation. Came through what looked like a completely legitimate channel. The FTC requires every dealer to post a buyer's guide on every used car, a sticker that tells you explicitly whether the car is being sold as is. If you buy it as is and drive off the lot, the dealer is generally no longer legally responsible for what happens next. Most buyers have never looked at that sticker. Most buyers do not know it exists. Here is what you are going to do instead. There is a device called the Blue Driver Bluetooth Pro OBDII scan tool. It costs about $120 on Amazon or at bluedriver.com. It is a small sensor, roughly the size of a lighter, that plugs directly into the car's OBD2 port. That's the diagnostic port, usually located underneath the dashboard on the driver's side. Every car made after 1996 has one. You plug the sensor in, open the Blue Driver app on your phone, pair it via Bluetooth, turn the ignition to the on position without starting the engine, and run what the app calls a full system scan. What you are looking for is this: permanent diagnostic trouble codes, or pending codes. Here is what those mean. When a car has a mechanical problem, the car's computer logs a code and turns on the check engine light. A seller who wants to hide that problem can clear the code in about 30 seconds using a cheap handheld tool. The light goes off. The problem is still there. To a buyer who just test drove the car, everything looks fine. But the Blue Driver reads something called permanent DTCs, codes that the car's own computer has frozen in place, codes that cannot be cleared by anyone, not even with a dealer's shop tool, until the underlying problem has actually been repaired and the car has completed a full drive cycle to confirm it. If there is a permanent code on that car, the problem is real. It exists right now. The light is off, but the engine does not know it is supposed to be. Odometer fraud costs buyers an average of $4,000 per vehicle in lost value and premature repairs. The Blue Driver catches the mechanical evidence of those hidden miles, the wear patterns logged in the car's own modules, before you ever sit down to talk price. Do not have $120 right now. Walk the car to the nearest AutoZone or Advance Auto Parts. They will plug their own OBD scanner in and read the codes for free. You cannot do the full permanent DTC check that way, but you will catch anything that is actively throwing a code. It costs nothing. It takes 5 minutes. There is no reason not to do it. The light is off. The problem is not. That was the electronic history. What I am about to tell you is physical, and it is something dealers count on you not knowing how to read. The car looks good. The paint is shiny. Every panel matches. You walk around it and you see a clean car. What you cannot see with your eyes, what requires a tool to reveal, is what is underneath that paint. Whether those panels are factory metal or whether one of them has been rebuilt, filled with body compound and sprayed to match. A car that has been in a significant unreported accident and repaired with body filler is not just cosmetically damaged. It is structurally different from the car you think you are buying. It affects how that car behaves in a future collision. It affects the value. It affects what you paid. And without a tool, you cannot tell. The tool is called a paint thickness meter or a coating thickness gauge. The Vidi Ag Tool model runs about $45 on Amazon. You press the flat sensor against a metal body panel, the hood, the doors, the quarter panels, the rear sections. Factory paint sits between 100 and 150 microns. That is the baseline. That is what a car looks like when it came off the line and nothing has happened to it since. A panel that has been resprayed after an accident reads differently. 200 microns. 300, sometimes more. A panel that has been repaired with heavy body filler can read over 400 microns. The meter does not lie. It is measuring the actual physical depth of what is on that car, and the physics do not care about the detailed job. Test every panel. Write the numbers down. You are not looking for one reading. You are looking for panels that are out of range with the rest of the car. One door reading at 380 microns when every other panel is at 120 tells you exactly what happened to that door. Do not have the meter? Use a refrigerator magnet. A standard flat refrigerator magnet sticks to factory metal panels with no problem. Press it to the door. press it to the fender. If it sticks to the door and falls off the fender, there is thick plastic body filler under that paint. The magnet cannot grip through it. It will not catch everything the meter catches, but it catches the worst of it, the heavy work, the panels that are more filler than metal, and it costs nothing because you already have it in your kitchen. An unreported accident reduces a car's value by $3,000 to $10,000, depending on the severity. The paint meter costs $45. The math does not require a calculator. Before I give you the third check, I want to tell you something that the Vault, the complete checklist and negotiation guide we put together for first car buyers, covers in detail. Every tool in this video with exact model numbers and purchase links. A 50-point physical inspection guide you can print and take to the lot. Word-for-word scripts for every moment of the negotiation, the initial offer, the finance office, the trade-in desk. A step-by-step guide for using Carfax and NICB together so you know exactly what each report catches and what it misses. The link is in the description. But stay here, because the third check is the one that catches something that happened before this car ever reached the dealer. Something that happened during a storm. And it is hiding in this car right now. Following Hurricanes Helene and Milton in late 2024, investigators and data analysts began tracking a specific pipeline. Cars submerged in Florida and the Carolinas, bought at salvage auction for a few $100s, were dried out, professionally detailed, and transported to states far enough away that the flood brand on the title had not yet been entered into that state's DMV database. Buyers in Ohio, in Tennessee, in Michigan, paid full retail price for cars that were already ruined on the inside. The water gets out, the damage does not. Flood-damaged cars corrode from the inside. Wiring harnesses that have been submerged begin failing in unpredictable ways, sometimes immediately, sometimes 18 months later, when the corrosion finally reaches a critical connection. The ECU, the airbag module, the ABS system. These are not cheap fixes. These are not inconvenient repairs. These are safety systems failing on a car your teenager is driving to school. There is a free tool that catches this. It is called NICB VinCheck. The National Insurance Crime Bureau maintains a database of vehicles that have been reported as total losses, including flood losses, by insurance companies. You go to nicb.org/VinCheck. You enter the VIN. The VIN is on the driver's side dashboard, visible through the windshield, or on a sticker inside the driver's door jamb. The check is free and the result is immediate. Carfax also flags flood damage in its vehicle history reports. A single Carfax report runs about $45. It is not perfect, it only catches what has been reported to insurance, but run it alongside NICB and you are covering two databases. A car that has been title washed to hide flood damage may clear one. It is rare for it to clear both. Now do this for free, with your hands. Close every window. On a warm day, sit inside that car for 2 minutes with the air conditioning off. Do not turn anything on, just sit there. What do you smell? A flood car that has been detailed will still carry a particular scent. Mildew, or a chemical odour that is someone's attempt to cover it. Then press your bare hand deep into the carpet at the lowest points of the floor. Not just on top. Push your hand down into it, toward the floor underneath. If the carpet is damp or cold in a way that doesn't match the rest of the car, that is a tell. While you are in there, look at the headlights. Look through the lens, not at it. If there is condensation, moisture, or discoloration inside the housing, that car has had water in places water should not have been. Then go to the trunk, lift the liner, and look at the floor beneath it. Flood debris, dried silt, waterline staining, rust on metal that has no business being wet, hides in places nobody thinks to detail. There were 454,000 water-damaged cars operating on American roads before the 2024 storms added more. One of them will end up on a lot near you. None of them will have a sign on the windshield. That is the flood check. What comes next is simpler, and it costs $6. The tyres on a used car are almost always presented as adequate. They look round. They look black. The tread does not look flat. And for most buyers, that is the end of the evaluation. Here is what adequate tyres on a used car can actually mean in real money. A set of 4 replacement tyres on a standard sedan runs between $400 and $700 installed, sometimes more for larger vehicles. If those tyres are at or near the end of their legal life, that cost hits you within weeks of driving off the lot. Dealers know this. They price the car to absorb it, but they do not tell you the tyres need to be replaced. They let you discover that on your own. The tool is called the Gardason Tyre Tread Depth Gauge. It costs $5.99. Amazon, Walmart, AutoZone, it is everywhere. You push the measuring pin flush with the base, insert it into the lowest groove of the tyre tread, push the barrel flat against the tyre block and read the measurement in 30 seconds of an inch. Anything under 432 means that tyres' wet weather braking is compromised. At 232, the tyre is legally bald in most states. You do not have the gauge? Lincoln's head. Take a penny, put Lincoln's head facing down into the tread groove. If you can see the top of his head, that tyre needs to be replaced now. That is not a suggestion. That is the federal legal minimum. Check all 4, then check the spare. A car being sold without a usable spare is a car where someone already knew the tyres were the problem. If 2 or more tyres are at or near the legal minimum, you have a number. That number comes off the asking price before the conversation starts. Not as a negotiating tactic, as a documented, quantified fact about the actual condition of the car, there is one more check, and it is the one that costs nothing and that most buyers never think to ask for, even though it is the single most powerful thing you can do before you sign your name. I used to hear it on the lot all the time. A buyer would be close to a decision and they would say, "Can I have my mechanic look at it first?" And I would watch the salesperson's reaction. Not the words, the reaction. A dealer who hesitates at that question is telling you something. A dealer who says, "We have our own inspection process," or "It's already been through our service department," is telling you something. A car that a dealer is confident in does not need to be protected from an independent mechanic's opinion. Here is exactly what you say. "Before I make a decision, I'd like to have an independent mechanic inspect it. I'll handle the logistics. I just need your agreement that the car can go to a shop of my choosing." That is it. Those words, in that order. Nothing more. A pre-purchase inspection from an independent shop, not the dealer's shop, not affiliated in any way, runs between $100 and $175, depending on where you are. The mechanic puts the car on a lift. They look at the frame, the suspension, the brakes, the exhaust, the engine bay, the fluids, the CV joints, the things that will cost you $2,000 to fix 6 months after you drive home. A $150 inspection that catches a cracked frame is not a $150 transaction. It is the difference between a reliable first car and a car that will never be worth what you paid for it. That is the check. That is the one they most want you to skip. If the dealer will not allow an independent inspection, if there is any hesitation, any condition placed on it, any manufactured reason why it cannot happen right now, walk away. Walk away from that car, from that lot, without explanation. A car worth buying can withstand an honest look. If that car cannot, you already have your answer. The next time you walk onto a lot with your teenager, you are going to do something different from every other family shopping that day. Before you ask about price, you are going to look at the VIN on the driver's side dash. You are going to open your phone and run it through NASB.org VIN check while you are standing right there. You are going to go to the trunk and lift the liner and look at the floor underneath it. You are going to press your hand into the carpet. You're going to take your Gardason gauge, it is in your pocket, and check all 4 tyres. You are going to press your paint meter against each panel and write the numbers in the Notes app on your phone. When you get back to the salesperson, you are going to say, "Before we talk price, I'd like to have an independent mechanic inspect it. That is what it looks like, not a feeling of confidence, a set of physical actions done in order before any discussion of money begins." The salesperson will know from the first minute that you are not the buyer they were expecting. The questions are different. The behaviour is different. The person holding a paint meter and crouching down to look at door gaps is not someone who can be rushed into a decision. That changes the entire dynamic of what follows. A $160 toolkit, the blue driver scanner and the paint meter, covers the electronic and physical history of any car you will ever look at. The NICB check is free. The penny test costs nothing. An independent inspection runs $150. Total investment, around $300. That is what it costs to do this right. Odometer fraud alone costs the average victim $4,000. Buying a flood car without knowing it can mean catastrophic electrical failures on a car your teenager is driving, with a warranty that has been completely voided. A structurally compromised car after an undisclosed accident is a different vehicle entirely from the one you thought you were buying.